বন্ধুগণ, আজ 16ই ডিসেম্বর বিজয় দিবস। বিজয় দিবসের শুভেচ্ছা নিন। আমরা আজকে হাজির হয়েছি 1 নম্বর বিজয় দিবসের শুভেচ্ছা এবং শব্দগুচ্ছ কবিতা পুরস্কার 2025 ঘোষণার জন্যে। Friends, we are on live today. I have some guests with me too. I have 3 guests. Let me introduce my guest. Let's see if we could see all of them. Here, John Digby is the Professor Emeritus, LIU, Creative Writing. And I have Nicholas Burns,
Hello, everybody.
Yes, Professor English at NYU.
Yeah.
Hi, Nicholas and John.
Hello.
And I have Nazneen Shimon, is a poet and co-editor of Shabdaguchha, and she is a teacher at the school here, NYC. She also teaches English. Here, as you know, that we came together to announce the Poetry Award, Shabdaguchha International Poetry Award 2025, and all the jury board is here. Let me introduce Shabdaguchha first in a few words, then I will give the floor to the jury board. This is Shabdaguchha, that's the current issue, poets from 21 different countries, and this is the 27th anniversary issue. So we have been publishing this 27 years plus. This is how we actually select or choose our winner, and we already have a winner we're going to announce. The 26th and 27th issue. So each of the jury board member nominate 3 poets, and whoever gets the highest nomination would be the winner. In case if more than one person get the same nomination, then the editor has 1 extra vote, and we keep this nomination secret. We decided to not to publish them. So without further ado, let me bring John Digby. John, you have been with this process for a long time. Could you say a few words about Shabdaguchha and the process?
Yes, from the time that I started working with Hassanal and with Shabdaguchha, the magazine has expanded enormously and has encouraged poets from all over the world to submit their words so that they could be read by readers around the world. So it's been a huge period of growth. And I'm really happy to say that this year we had a big number of submissions, and it was quite difficult to make a choice because we read anonymously. We have no idea who the poet is. We just have the poems and our sense of their merit and their ability to present to readers incredibly interesting ideas, lyrical voices, narratives of interest. And so we read and judge as anonymous readers, which makes this an incredibly fair competition that I feel quite proud to be part of.
Thank you, John. We will get back to you. Now, Nicholas. Nicholas is with us for a long time too. And I don't know how many years, Nicholas.
Fuck you.
Yes. And Nicholas, say a few words.
Thank you. Thank you, Hassanal. It's been a privilege to be associated with Shabdaguchha and to see the journal grow, and it's so fascinating that a journal it's based in the US, but it's based in Bengali literature in terms of its literary base, and a lot of the contents are in Bengali, and yet it is also a journal which publishes international English literature, including translations from Bengali, poems originally in English and poems from other languages. And we have poems from Poland and from Italy and from all these third languages. And so people talk about multiculturalism and globalization a lot, but in practice, that kind of always means the American Anglophone mainstream deciding to become interested in literature from other countries. But I think what Shabdaguchha is doing is genuine globalization, and that you are looking at the world through another lens and are interested in poetry from all sorts of countries, but are looking at it through a lens that is whose literary base is in the Bengali language. And that is very interesting. I think as the journalist proceeded, I think I've seen a greater lyricism in the poems and a more unabashed commitment to the lyric, which is nice to see, because poetry it isn't the same thing as song. It's verbal, it's written, you don't have to have music, but there is a music in poetry. And I think the poems that were before us this year had a lot of that musicality, and it's good to see that back, and it's good to see the journal encouraging that, and also that operating transnationally. So it's not just because of the properties of one language, it's because of the properties of poetry in general. So I particularly wanted to mention that because that's a trend I saw this year.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. As Nicholas is saying that we actually assimilated or reach out, Joan also mentioned, to poets from around the world. Let me just tell you that poets from 21 countries, the current issue, the countries are, look at this, Bangladesh, Bulgaria, Germany, Hong Kong, Hungary, India, Iraq, Israel, Italy, Japan, Kurdistan, Macedonia, Mexico, Norway, Poland, Romania, Serbia, Spain, Sweden, Taiwan, and the United States. The poets represented in the previous issue, I think there was also a huge number of countries. That was Australia, Bangladesh, Czech Republic, Germany, Greece, Guatemala, Hungary, India, Italy, Iran, Mexico, Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Sweden, Ukraine, and USA. So we have been, and our 25th anniversary issue was from poets from 25 different countries, but we celebrated that 25th anniversary issue with this all poetry anthology that represented poets from 59 countries and 229 poets. And all the jury board actually were helping me. They were co-editor of this huge anthology, all poetry anthology. Now, without further ado, let's talk to Shimon. Let me give you the floor, Shimon, now. Shimon is not only the co-editor, she also received the award, and she is helping many different ways. Shimon, go ahead.
Okay, first and foremost, I want to everyone Victory Day greetings. Bijoy Divosher Shubhecha shobaike. Yes, I have seen Shabdaguchha grow. I remember the first day. I remember the proposal when it came. And I remember when we used to staple the copies after bringing from the press, and the smell of it, fresh smell of it. So it is a long process, but I would say it is a successful and satisfying experience for me, because I get to meet many poets because of Shabdaguchha. I get to read many, and as you have mentioned that this is international, and out of 195 countries, I if we count, probably we have added so far more than 50 countries. Correct me if I'm
About
wrong.
75 countries we manage.
75. So we are there. Hopefully, we'll get all the countries' poets, and it is really a beauty of it. And this is where the uniqueness of the Shabdaguchha lies, that it not only unites, and as Professor Nicholas Burns was saying, that yes, it is, the base is Bengali, right? But then the branches, through translation, reached many other languages, and it made it accessible. So it is a great experience, and hopefully we will continue to grow and we'll have readers, and hopefully I really hope that we will, in the process, we will meet some wonderful poets as we have done before.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. By the way, ladies and gentlemen who are online listening to us, and there are many from all around the world, though juries gave all the nominations before the announcement, nobody knows who is the first. They have an idea who are the nominee, but who actually got the highest vote. This year it was very, very difficult, very, very difficult. We had so many good poets from around the world. In a minute or so, I will reveal that. However, today is the Victory Day of Bangladesh. We had a 9-month war with Pakistan, and in 1971, it started on March 25th and ended December 16, the Victory Day. 3 million of our people were killed, and my father was also one of them, and 200,000 women were raped. This was a terrible, terrible story, and but we had the victory from them on this day. So I actually say that we are very, very happy and glad that we got the liberation. That's why I could meet so many people come to US. And I must mention that today is also Nazneen Shimon's birthday. So
Wow.
happy birthday to Shimon.
Happy birthday.
Shimon, you want to read one poem for the Victory Day?
Do I read in Bangla or do I read
Yeah,
in
the
English?
Bangla or English doesn't matter. Read one poem.
I want to read a poem in Bengali.
Mm-hmm.
This poem is not it's not a happy poem. It's rather not only sad, it has an angry tone because of the current political situation in Bangladesh. So even though this is the Victory Day, the victory has been stolen by the same group of people that we fought against. So this is kind of a protest. So it goes like, কুকুরগুলো, the dogs. কুকুরগুলো খুব খেপেছে, ঝরছে লালা মুখে, পদ পদবী সবই খাবে, হাসছে মহাসুখে। ওদের দাঁতের ধারে হতে পারে ছিন্ন ভিন্ন শরীর, এক কামড়েই দম ফুরাবে হৃৎপিণ্ড ঘড়ির। পাকযন্ত্রে ভরে আছে হিংসা আর বিদ্বেষে, ভিতরটাকে দেয় চিনিয়ে মুখ উগরে এসে। ২০খানা নখ ভীষণ বড় ভরে আছে বিষে, উদ্যত সে সারাক্ষণই ফেলতে মেরে পিষে। দাঁত কিংবা নখ সমস্যা নেই, দখল চাই। গলা ধরে কিন্তু বলবে আমার জানের ভাই। বুকের মাঝে টেনে নিয়ে রক্তনালী খুঁজে, সর্বশান্ত ছাড়বে করে সঠিক সময় বুঝে। চোঙার ভিতর ঢুকিয়ে দিলেই হয় কি সোজা লেজ, বেরিয়ে এসে গোল পাকাবে লেজের এমন তেজ। যখন তখন তারস্বরে ঘেউ 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 ডেকে চতুর্পার্শ্ব মাতিয়ে তোলে খানিক থেকে থেকে। আরো কিছু পায়ের কাছে লেজ নাড়িয়ে সারা, পায়ের তলা চেটে পুটে জাগিয়ে তোলে পাড়া। কুকুরগুলো অনেক তাজা, শক্তি অনেক গায়ে, এপাশ ওপাশ উদর নিয়ে বাড়ছে হাতে পায়ে। বছর বছর দিচ্ছে জন্ম অনেক ছেলে মেয়ে, বাচ্চাগুলো চাইছে যেন বিশ্ব নিতে খেয়ে। ভুল করেও কেউ না ভাবে ওদের চতুর্পদী, দুখানা হাত চেপে ধরে শক্ত নরম গদি। কুকুরগুলো বছর জুড়ে ভাদ্র মাসের মতো লজ্জা শরম এক ফোঁটা নেই, হাড়ে ভাতে যত। চাইতে চাইতে দুহাত কেবল চিৎ করতে পারে, দেয়ার কথা বললে তাদের নাকের সর্দি বাড়ে। হাতের মুঠো শক্ত করে মৃতদেহের সমান থাকবে পড়ে যতক্ষণ না নেয়ার কথা কমান। হাজার হাজার বছর ধরে বন্ধু হয়েছিল, কতেক মানুষ লুব্ধকের বংশ ধুয়ে দিল। কুকুর সমাজ অশান্ত খুব, ঝরছে মুখের লালা, জলাতঙ্ক ছড়িয়ে দেবে, করবে ফালা ফালা। জাত বর্ণ মুখের গড়ন হরেক রকম তাদের, নিত্য বসে বুদ্ধি আঁটে 101টা ফাঁদের। দীপ দিয়েই সারমে ওদের শক্তি পায়ে হাতে, বাঁচতে হলে অপেক্ষা নয়, হবে যে কামড়াতে।
Oh, thank you so much for my English speaking guests. She's talking about how actually they're increasing in numbers and biting people. It could be a synonym all the dogs. I'm, I'm not talking about the pets, but the ones are vicious. They are on the street and killing each other. So it's a long poem. Thank you, Shimon. And John, you have been not only involved in the process of nominating poets and choosing the awards, you are also a poet contributor for Shabdaguchha and the co-editor of World Poetry Anthology. You want to say a few words about the World Poetry Anthology before
Of course. For me, it's been really interesting to work, especially with Hassanal, on these books because he's introduced me to the culture, the rhythms, and the politics of Bangladesh, which was alien to me until we started working together. And now it's been a long time, and I feel very comfortable in this cultural environment. Even though I didn't understand what Shimon said, I understood the nature of what she said because she has a very powerful political voice. And that was one of the measures of poetry that we did look at this year because the world has very fragile political situations all around. And so listening to what poets from various quadrants of the world have to say about the public situation, the cultural situation, and the political situation, including the rights of women especially, which Shimon is very, very strong on, really has moved me more sympathetically into the nature of this kind of poetry. And I just want to add that all of the people who function as judges step back because we're looking at the work of others and not thinking about ourselves, which I also feel is very important for the strength of poetry, to remove egos and look at the work. So as judges, we concentrate on the work itself and not the people who have written because we don't know the authors when we're reading. We are reading words, listening to sounds, and trying to make a judgment based on the sheer quality of what we're reading. So it's an obligation, but also an honor to be part of this process.
Thank you so much. By the way, we started this in 2001. It's a biannual poetry award. And 2001 we started only $100 as a honorarium. Then it went to 200, went to 300, 400, 500, and now this year is going to be $1,000. Money is not a big factor. The thing is, nowadays people are struggling, and the poets whose work we publish, we do not pay them. So this is one way of respecting at least 1 or 2 years. Nicholas, but since this is the Victory Day, you actually wrote an article on the father of the nation's 100th birthday on Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and you are very aware of the Bengali struggle. And how did you come into knowing this? And can you just
I was 6 years old. It was 1971 when the struggle for Bangladeshi independence happened. And although I wasn't, old enough to follow the news in a deep way, I was aware of it. And going to school, we still had the old maps of West Pakistan and East Pakistan. And you always saw East Pakistan there, which is now Bangladesh. And whenever I looked at a map, I made a mental reminder to myself that this was really Bangladesh, and that the maps that we were being taught with were not updated. So I was just old enough to be aware of it. But I really became more aware of it when I was 14 or 15, and I became very interested in global affairs, and I was just very impressed by the way that Bangladesh had been a part of Pakistan on the grounds of religion, and that was the Muslim part of the former British colony of India that had decided it didn't want to go with a Hindu-dominated nation of India, and the Bangladeshi people chose their national identity over a religious identity. And at a time when Islamic fundamentalism was beginning and people were beginning to have, in the West, very pejorative views of Islam, Bangladesh was a nation which was still very much majority Muslim, was still very much identified as a Muslim country, but also was adopting nationhood in a more modern identity of a nation. James Joyce famously in Ulysses has his character Leopold Bloom say, "A nation is the same people in the same place." And that's a very interesting definition of a nation that is not necessarily rooted in ethnicity or religion, but in a common identity. And I was very impressed about that. About Bangladesh, that Bangladesh was manifesting that, and through various coups and various instabilities and various changes of leadership and changes of regime, I saw that the people was holding to that core identity. And of course, now we are in this very perilous age where not only Bangladesh, but the entire world, including this country, is facing the rise of ethno-nationalism, religious fundamentalism, and leaders who are not out for their nation's interests, but who are out to enrich themselves and to collude with other like-minded leaders. And I think we in the U.S. had always looked at Bangladesh and said, well, Bangladesh doesn't have the same problems as the U.S. does. I think now Bangladesh very much does. And so that's a way that, unfortunately, a lot of the nations of the world are in a very common plight. But certainly knowing Hassanal and Shimon and knowing their work and knowing Shabdaguchha has really deepened my knowledge of literature, the literature of Bangladesh, because I certainly knew Tagore, I knew a few other poets, but I didn't know it in a deep way until Hassanal and Shimon deepened my knowledge of it. And that's been a very great gift, because my sense of what poetry in the 20th and 21st century is and world literature has really been enlarged by that. And I think, more people should know about this tradition. And generally, even people, again, people call themselves post-colonial. People call themselves, say, I'm a post-colonialist, I am a globalist, but they don't know the literature of Bangladesh. They just don't know it. And Shabdaguchha is really filling that gap, and precisely by placing that literature in an international context, calling people's attention to it. So I'm very privileged to be part of that project.
Thank you so much for going in details. And ladies and gentlemen, friends, we are really, really lucky to have John and Nicholas on board because they are very knowledgeable about world poetry. They're both teachers of English, and their knowledge and their understanding really enriching me as a poet and help as an editor. Day by day, last 27 years, I really learned a lot from these two professors and others from around the world. As I always say that when I travel throughout the world, I try to not only learn poetry and literature and culture, I try to learn the story that every person has a different story. And how could I know that and enrich myself and compare with my story? Anyway, this is the time to announce the award. But before that, I will take a minute or two to read one of the poems by Humayun Azad. As Nicholas wrote in one of the articles about me that he wants to read other people's poem more than his. So let's read this poem for this Victory Day. And this poem is called Probably for a Little Thing. I probably will die for a little thing, for a little leaf of grass, and for a little drop of dew. I probably will die for a petal of flower that will suddenly fly away in summer's breeze. I will die for a bit of rain. I probably will die for a little thing, for a short coo of cuckoo, and for a little look of a toddler's face. I probably will die for a few drops of tears hanging from someone's eye. I will die for a bit of sunshine. I probably will die for a little thing, for a little ray of moonlight, and for a little glimpse of the clouds. I probably will die for a butterfly lost in the 21st floor of a tower. I will die for a hint of green. I probably will die for a little thing, for a segment of a short dream, and for a little sadness. I probably will die for a little sigh in someone else's sleep. I will die for a bit of beauty. Well, this beauty is peace for all over the world. And with that, I have the envelope that has the name. It says Shabdaguchha Award, International Poetry Award 2025. Let's see who is the winner. The winner doesn't know it yet. I didn't call the winner yet. Ladies and gentlemen, the Shabdaguchha International Poetry Award 2025 goes to Bengt O. Bukharkuld.
Who?
Bengt O. Bukharkuld for his significant contribution to world poetry. Mr. Bukharkuld is a Swedish poet and the Beat Poet Laureate of Sweden, appointed by the National Beat Poetry Foundation, Inc. Now, this year the judges are myself, Hassan Al Abdullah, the editor of Shabdaguchha, Professor Nicholas Burns of NYU, Professor Emeritus John Digby of LIU, and poet and educator Nazneen Shimon. So the award this year is going to go to Bengt. B-E-N-G-T. I will call the poet. Let me read his bio. Bengt wrote his first poem in a jail cell in Istanbul in 1969. The Turkish police had kicked in his hotel door and burst him for 30 grams of hash he had bought from a Turkish man for $20 earlier that night at the end of 1968. Due to the fact that no one spoke Swedish in jail, he started to write in English. When he was released in 1973, he kept on writing in both his mother tongue, Swedish, and in English. In 2018, he was named Swedish Beat Poet Laureate by the National Beat Poetry Foundation, Inc. In the spring of 2025, this year, If There Is No Tomorrow, his sixth poetry collection in English was published in the USA. And in November of the same year, this year, Days of Dark Thunder, his seventh poetry collection, was published by Venetian Spider Press, Newark also. So he had two books published this year here. Bent is also an artist and a percussionist in the band Beat Poetry Society that puts music to his poetry. He is also the author of 6 poetry collections in Swedish. He has been published in many anthologies in Swedish and English and attended numerous international poetry festivals around the world. So he is a celebrated poet already.
Very good.
So congratulations, Bengt, for your achievement, and you have a lot more. Few word, final word from started from John.
Well, congratulations. I mean, when we read, obviously we have no idea whether the poems
She had no idea.
have published or not published or published outside of Shabdaguchha. So it's more than luck. It's a sense of poetry itself, I think, that moves judges to read and see who comes out as admirable to all of us. And I'm very pleased that we made this choice. I'm happy to know his name at last.
Thank you. Thank you. It's too late in Sweden. It's probably 12:30 or something.
Oh, it's past midnight there, probably.
Yeah, Nicholas, go ahead.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I, about 7 years ago, was asked to contribute to a book of criticism on international beat poetry. And having done some work with Australian literature, I wrote the chapter on Australian beat poetry. But I got the book when it was published, and there were chapters on beat poetry across the world. And I'm sure Ben probably was in the Scandinavian chapter. But as an American, I found the international beat people so much more interesting than the American ones.
That's right.
The American beat poets, but the international ones were really interesting. And to see how what was originally an American style had been meant something very different in these international contexts. I thought that was very enriching. So I didn't know Ben's identity or background at all, but I think it's great. I think that's very interesting work. And yes, to be in prison in Turkey at a time when obviously the Turkish jails at that time were notorious. And that's, again, a category of a genuinely transnational experience when you're in prison in a foreign country. You're not just on a tourist junket, but you're in prison, and that you get to know world culture in a much more visceral way then. And I think it's important, the experience of the poet is only refracted in the poem. You can, as Joan was saying, encounter the poem without any awareness of the poet's background, and that should be the primary encounter. But when you know that background, it enriches it and becomes even more significant. So I think it's a wonderful choice, and congratulations, Bent, and I'm very pleased to have participated in a small way in furthering your work. And again, it's good that I'm glad the prize money has increased. That's important. Poets worldwide live very precarious lives, and any bit of financial support is important for them. So thank you to the board of Shabdaguchha for doing that.
Thank you, Shimon.
Thank you. So, first of all, I am very sorry. I feel very sorry that I got the award a long time ago. I wish it was today. The money would have been $1,000. Anyways, apart from my joke, I just wanted to point out one thing which I should have talked about earlier. Professor Joan Digby mentioned it, that this is totally an unbiased process. And what makes it more interesting, I was just thinking as I was listening to everyone, think about this. All 4 judges here are, first of all, they are poets, but they are all teachers. As teachers, what we do, we might like one student more than the other because of their, creative thinking or critical thinking or something. There could be many reasons, but when we check their papers, we try to be totally impartial. The paper sits in front of us, not the student. And that is the same process goes here, that we only read the poem and we look at is, well, everybody of course would read differently, and is the poetic value, aesthetic in it. And I think this is a really good practice. I love to be a part of it, and congratulations, Benz. And I would request the panel going forward, maybe we can wake them up like the Nobel Committee does.
Exactly.
Why not?
Wake them up. I'll call him. I'll call him up. Should I call him up now?
Call him.
We can try. It's a good news.
Let me see if I can find him. Banked, I know that I woke you up, but this is a very good news. Congratulations. This is the panel of judges sitting in here online, and you are the winner for the Shabdaguchha Award 2025.
Wow. I don't know what to say.
He said, I don't know what to say.
He said it all. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Everybody said congratulations.
Yes. When you get your check, you'll be even more surprised.
Exactly.
And he said he is very proud.
Well, we admire your work.
And we love your work, and we'll talk. Say one or two sentences.
Pardon?
Say a few your feelings.
Oh no, I'm feeling very, very proud and happy, and I mean it's a big thing, and I really appreciate that people read me and appreciate what I do.
Thank you so much. He said that he's very proud and he is very happy that people are reading him and appreciating his poem. He also appreciated that. Okay, Ben, so go back to sleep and we'll talk.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
I cannot sleep anymore.
That's what I thought.
You cannot sleep anymore. This is the panel's idea to wake you up. Okay, good night.
Good night.
I'd like to say, can I just say one or two things?
Yes.
When I first met you and heard you read your poetry, Hassanal, you always read the poem, If I Had a Little Cash.
Uh-huh.
And the fact that over these years, you've continued to value poetry to the extent that you wish to raise the dollar amount, the cash amount, to recognize poets as winners of this award. And I think that is a great thing. So thank you for doing that.
No, thank you, thank you. And my goal is
Yeah.
when I die, my estate is going to be this poetry award, and this will, year after year, this will increase. Let's see if I could do that.
So one other thing is that many of the poets from around the world could not be published in English without translators. And this year we lost a great translator, Olivia Jacob from Romania, who has translated your work, my work, I'm sure the work of other people who are listening. And her contribution to poetry really just needs to be acknowledged. So I offer a kind of symbolic toast to Ali, because we really miss her.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
her contribution.
Olivia translated 25 of my poems.
Yes, yes.
We are going to end this with a good note that we will see each other soon again. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for being online for this award. I mean, today and every day with Shabdaguchha, and for this tremendous work that you have been doing for Shabdaguchha. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a
Welcome.
privilege.
Thank you, of course.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.